Mr. Narube, I'll go into some issues where some statements have been made, and I will ask you about that. One was in the 2022-2023 national budget, the address by the Minister for Economy, Ayah Said Qayyum. Government debt was estimated at around $9.1 billion, or 89.4% of GDP at the end of July 2022. Ayah Said Qayyum further said, in 2 years, the government lost about $2.8 billion in revenue during the COVID-19 pandemic. He says the average cost of our overall debt portfolio as of July was 4.4%, of almost a quarter from pre-pandemic levels. He said that at least $100 million annual savings on interest payments, mainly due to government's ability to negotiate lower cost, policy-based loans and concessional financing. Said Qayyum also said in the coming months, Fiji expects $1 billion in investments in the private sector. Foreign reserves also hit a record high, according to him, $3.62 billion, equivalent to 8.4 months of imports, and that was the statement from the budget. Now, some think that government debt does not affect the ordinary person. Some say Fiji had to borrow, as $2.8 billion in revenue was lost during the pandemic. What is your assessment?
There's a lot of figures you have quoted that, including that.
Let's go with government debt, and how it affects people, and
right.
What's your assessment on that?
Yeah, you know, we all borrow. The public borrows. We borrow when our income is less than what we are spending. And that's what I've been saying to this government for a long time. Their spending is too much. Not only spending is too much, they're wasting a lot of our money. Government doesn't have any money of itself. This is our money. This is the money that we give government, and that's the money that it provides the services back to us. So that is our money, and if it's wasting our money, we need to be concerned about it, because that wastage is leading to a lot of borrowing. And I've been telling this government a lot also that you cannot grow an economy, a structure for economy like Fiji, on government borrowing. You can't. Or on government spending, to be more specific. You can't. So, because that is now leading to debt. So, what is wrong with debt? Because we have to repay debt. It's not a grant. We have to repay it. And this is what the law says. The government needs to pay debt first before it meets any other services. So what's happening is every dollar that we pay the government in our taxes is paying 43 cents to pay for the debt. What does that leave? It leaves 57 cents for it to spend on everything else. Now that 57 cents is leading to, it's not enough to pay for all the services that the government needs to provide to us. And the problem is this: if that debt continues to rise, whether it is low servicing, 4.5% of the average interest rate, whether it is from multilateral institutions, does not really matter. What matters is that debt servicing is rising, debt is increasing, and debt servicing is rising. So that 57 cents that I was talking about is now going to drop further. When that drops further, government will have to cut down on many of those essential expenses. We're seeing that already. That's what we call the crowding out impact of debt. So debt payment is now crowding out all the other expenses. So we are feeling
essential services like you're saying education,
health, infrastructure. Infrastructure. That is what is going to be crowded out. Ultimately, that crowding out is too much for government to operate properly, smoothly in its operation. And that's when the debt default starts. And when we default on our debt, we cannot pay our interest, we cannot pay our principal. That's when really government curtails expenses. And if you were thinking that that will not affect you because you are out there in the outer islands or out there in the villages, you are wrong. This will affect you as government cuts back on its expenses. It will affect the education of your children. It will affect you going to a health center where the bandages are not there, where all those kind of essential medical products are not there. It will affect you. It might affect government workers, which is done in many countries that have suffered a lot from this debt. So it is going to affect us all. It's going to create a lot of havoc. We have seen that around the world. So let's not go down that road.